Hello everyone, welcome to Dr. Rajkumar Academy. In this session, I'll be discussing about 29/8/2022 newspaper. Yes, we'll try to complete this newspaper in half an hour to 45 minutes. There are very less important points, and wherever it is important, I'll elaborate and stress upon it. And for those people who are joining for the first time, uh, please keep few papers with you along with the newspaper so that I'll tell the important points that must be there in your newspaper or in your book from the newspapers. So, quickly, if we look at it, the first issue that we need to study is about the POXO case. Says there is an incident of minor girls, right? So, this you need not worry much, it's a local news. Congress to elect not required. Data protection bill likely to be presented in budget session. See, guys, I definitely agree that this is a very important issue. There is high possibility of question as well. But as you people are preparing for next year, let us wait for the actual bill to come and then we will study about the merits and demerits of it. The next issue is about India refers to Taiwan Strait militarization. So guys, as soon as geographically any topic is important, it is mandatory for you to open that and check. In between Taiwan and China, you have a strait called as Taiwan Strait. And this strait connects East China Sea and South China Sea as well. So have a look at this from maps point of view. You never know what can be the question about it. So let's go to the editorial page directly. Now in the editorial page, the first one is about the SOPs. The second one is about the outgoing CJI. So don't worry about both. Clean and clear is actually about government has appointed a person to look into Twitter. There was a question on that. So because of that, the discussion is going on. Don't worry. But guys, this is a very essential issue. Japan's continuing struggle with gender parity. Now, this issue is not important if you look at the people who have written it, but what is more important for us is the essence of the issue. So, I would expect you people to pause it for a while and read this article, but I'll give you the gist that must be there in your answers case. Remember, among G7 countries, Japan is also there. G7 means group of 7 developed countries. Japan is also one developed country. And remember, today Japan is the fourth largest economy in the world. Now, when it comes to gender gap, Japan is performing extremely well when it comes to sex ratio. Japan is doing extremely well when it comes to job opportunities, voting and all. But Japan is not performing well in certain aspects like representation in the parliament. So Japanese are not represented more in the parliament. They are just 10% is what they are trying to talk about. Second important thing is if you look at some of the big positions, official positions, then women are not there. So maybe you can think that it is by chance that they have not entered. But this article tries to say that there are certain instances where the people told women should not be present in a meeting because women normally talk a lot, right? So words like this has shown the mindset of the Japanese people. That is what it is trying to tell. Now, what is the benefit of this in India? She is trying to say that today India might be progressing, Indian women may be progressing, but over a period of time, if at all we are not talking about increasing women's role in politics and other big positions, then there is a fear that India's gender gap will also be seen the way Japan's is about. So this you can use it in your social issues, Indian society. Especially, I want you to write that you can write Indian society gender gap, gender gap. Even though, even though Japan is one of the, even though Japan is one of the developed country, developed country, their performance, their performance is not good, not good in gender gap index, in gender gap index because they hold they hold less points when it comes to when it comes to women in politics, women in politics, and also women in women in higher positions. So I guess that is enough. NDTV issue pin code is not so important. You can leave it. Let's move to the next issue. This is very, very important. To boost self-reliance, Rajnath releases third indigenization list. So here, India is planning to increase indigenization of our defense. In that particular aspect, we are trying to ensure that certain equipments are not imported from outside, but it is manufactured within the country itself. Guys, just remember the issue in this particular topic, that is in this news. There is nothing that question can come. So don't worry about it. Shelter home official held in Bihar sexual abuse. These are all you can use when you're talking about ethics. Where people who has to protect, they themselves are indulged in such heinous crimes. Noida's twin towers turned into rubble. This is a very good question, guys, where we all need to answer it. Can a developing country offer such a huge loss? And at the same time, what are the environmental issues? What are the ethical issues involved? So, all this from ethics point of view, I want to look at this particular issue. India, China are allies of Vietnam. Just remember one thing, Vietnam is present in South China Sea, and Vietnam has given the Nang port to India, and many people see it as Vietnam being closer to India compared to China. But India and Vietnam and China, like if you look at Vietnam's point of view, Vietnam says that we are close to both India and China. This is their diplomat speaking, and he is talking in this manner just to ensure that there is no dispute between the countries. Yes, Modi urges people to join against malnourishment. It's a very, very important issue. We need to be aware about Poshan Abhiyan. Indian government is going for Poshan Abhiyan. Under this, we are planning to ensure that nutrition is provided to the people. Remember, guys, nutrition is not only a problem of the poor, it is also a problem of the rich. over obese, under nourishment, all these are some of the biggest problems that India is facing, and Indian government is planning to work on this. I want you people to make a proper note about Poshan Abhiyan from your what we call as schemes. Working on a comprehensive legal framework for digital economy. Because the minister is saying that we are working, that itself shows that no concrete things have yet formed, so don't look into it in detail, not required. New CJI's stint to start off with a host of civil liberties cases, so he has just taken up the case is what they are trying to tell, so don't worry. Modi inaugurates kennel in Kutch. He alleges conspiracy to malign Gujarat during his tenure as state chief minister. Now, here it is very, very important for you to know that the government is planning to have a kennel in the Kutch region, that is Gulf of Kutch region, right? So, you should remember that Kutch was actually devastated due to 2001 earthquakes, and after that, now in that particular area you do not have proper water facility. So from Narmada, water is being taken till Kutch, right? You might have heard there is Sardar Sarovar Dam on Narmada river. From this dam, water is taken to Kutch region. So this is what they are trying to talk about this case. So nothing much, don't get into the political aspects. Jammu Kashmir Congress goes into huddle, not required. Soren enjoying picnic with MLAs, not required. With multiple border sub disputes, India China in for a rocky period. I would say this is given by former Australian Prime Minister. It is his views. I would say just read it. Just read it because it is his views. We don't need to look into it. Because there is a very, very important issue. 5G sells to piggy bank on polls holdings. Remember, government is pressurizing the people and the companies to first start with 5G stations, and they are telling that you must install as many stations as possible. Now when they want to install these stations, they do not have proper infrastructure. Even in 3G and 4G, having those installations were very costly. And for 5G, already companies are paying lot of money. Now again, if they want to invest in any sort of infrastructure, then it is going to take time. So already we have some street lights, poles and all present. So they are planning to use these only for infrastructure. So guys, here they are not talking about any specific measure. They are trying to tell how the existing infrastructure will be used to develop small cells, and these small cells will help them to connect better with the networks. So rather than having huge infrastructure at a time, by using existing ones, we are planning to go for 5G is what they are trying to tell you here, right? So Johnson and Johnson, there is some sort of asbestos that is actually present. This can be in what we call as ethics in private, where certain things can affect the public's health. So from that point of view you have to read, and you also have to read about the asbestos case. Yes, again, US warship sailed through Taiwan Strait. So that is an area which is in news regularly, so ensure you are seeing Taiwan Strait. Yes, as yesterday was Sunday, there is nothing about economy. So it will be about some suggestions given to you. And after this, you have sports. As you have seen, India has won the game. Nothing beyond that is important. Guys, to improve your language skills, you can read this text and context. I have already discussed about Aadhaar voter ID linkage, and it is not mandatory. They have given certain value additions to this. You can just go through this specific article. No need to make any notes from this case. No need to make any notes, nor waste your time in that. Fine. Just that remember, voter IDs, if they are linked to Aadhaar, illegal voters can be caught. But what the people are telling is Aadhaar and voter ID, if it is linked, voter ID, people are more compared to Aadhaar because Aadhaar is not mandatory. Many people do not have. This experiment is already done in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and during this, many people were left out. So that's a cause of concern. And the database of voter ID is much more compared to Aadhaar, making the linkage is not viable. And the most important thing is by linking Aadhaar, we get to know how people will behave. And when we understand how what is the behavior of the people, then it is very, very easy for us to manipulate them. This is what it is trying to tell. I have repeated this already, but for those people who are starting, I have given an overview. From this point of view, if you check it, it's enough. As I told you, not every day all the news will be important. You just don't know the previous background. That is the reason you might be worried. Whatever articles that I'm telling you, please pause at that time in the newspaper, go through that, understand from the point of view that I am arguing. If you do that, your time will be reduced. We are doing these videos for the freshers mainly because we have heard that students are spending more than 3 to 4 hours per day. Along with classes, if you spend so much time in newspaper, one, you won't be understanding newspaper. Two, the essence of reading newspaper will not be achieved. So guys, at Rajkumar Academy, we plan to ensure that ultimate benefit is given to the students. So we have several courses, including the foundation batch for prelims come mains. People who are interested can join. You can inform your friends as well. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot for your patience.